Classic versus HeRoMaRinE, the rematch. Game 1, coming up next. In the top left here in the red off the back of a victory versus Hero, he is...
Makers Classic.
In the bottom right, he took up all the space in the green room, but we were more than happy to give it to him. He is...
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
These memes are getting out of control, mate. I love how Rainer is going in with the memes as well. He's like, it's going to be hard to play against Gabe because I'm not sure if he fits in the lobby and stuff like that.
Well, this morning I checked Big Gabe's Twitter account. His title is Big Gabe, and he's changed his Twitter account title to the biggest of Gabes.
Yeah, well, it's about time, I'd say. It's way cooler than HeRoMaRinE,
I mean, it is
right?
more accurate. I've never seen a larger Gabriel.
I do want to say that it's clear that HeRoMaRinE has grown a lot as a player over the last year. And I know that sounds like another meme, but this time I'm actually serious.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, because if you... Come on, David. No, but like if you go back, last year he made it to the global finals, and I think that was, I wouldn't say super surprising, but it kind of came out of nowhere, right? Because he was focusing a little more on being a streamer, being an entertainer, and somehow the year just went incredibly well for him, that throughout the middle of the year he's like, all right, I'm gonna try my best to make it to BlizzCon, because I am within striking distance. In the end, he made it. It was awesome. But if you think back of those games, he kind of got bopped by, I think it was Zest and SOS, and all they really did in every game was make Zealots and Stalkers. Now, Zealots and Stalkers are very good, guys. I'm the first to admit that they're very good. But if you make it to the global finals, you kind of expect these guys to eventually build up armies that can take care of Zealots and Stalkers. Because as good as those units are, 200 supply Zealot Stalker, like, it's not really supposed to work anymore. And I think today he already shown in his first best of 5 of the day that he got so much better over time, that he's a much stronger player right now because he is able to duke it out with these Koreans. He's able to bring it to the late game and be victorious as well.
He's definitely never looked better, that's for damn sure. Classic, of course, getting one more shot at another offline tournament before his mandatory military service. He will be sorely missed for the time until he comes back to this beautiful game. He's such a fantastic pro. I've been a massive fan of this guy for 9 years, basically.
Yeah, he really is. Just had a pretty insane series against Hero. I thought he was in all the trouble there in Game 3. I have no idea how he won that game or how Hero lost that Game 3 on Acropolis, because they basically both had 8 workers, but then one guy has 2 oracles and the other guy doesn't. And I'm like, well, this is really not supposed to be good for the guy who doesn't. So I thought Classic was in a lot of trouble. I'm sure that he felt like he was in trouble as well, being able to bring it back, win Game 3, and eventually the series must feel good, must give him some momentum. It's heartbreaking, man, like seeing Hero walk into the green room after like those 2 series. And then especially if you think back of how close Hero was to defeating Rainer in Game 5, right? On Winter's Gate, with that War Prism in the natural, I'm like, ugh. You know, like, it's tough. Like, it's amazing for all of us to enjoy this tournament, but for these guys, there's so much on the line, so much money, so much prestige. Seeing you know, dream shatter like that is kind of difficult. Yeah,
it's an incredibly entertaining ZVP for us. It's dreams on the line for these guys. Yeah. It's their entire livelihoods. We have a 2 racks opener again from HeRoMaRinE on this map, just like he did last time. This time, it doesn't look like he's getting the tech lab just yet. Still prioritizing the Widowmine drop phase and getting that marine production out to secure his natural. So it seems like he has a certain way that he wants to play this map, but he's adjusting it slightly.
Yeah, I must say, if I think back of that previous series, right, it felt in both games he was rather passive. Now, he already said that he really doesn't like Thunderbird very much, and Winter's Gate didn't really work out as well, but in the first 2 games of that first best of 5 of the day that these 2 guys played against each other, it just felt that HeRoMaRinE was kind of approaching it like, well, you know, I'm not going to commit. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let this guy make some mistakes eventually. Well, this is Classic, okay? He doesn't make that many mistakes. If you don't pressure him, if you don't find openings, if you don't deal damage, you're going to be in trouble most of the time. And I felt like he was a little more aggressive in Game 4 and Game 5 especially. And even in Game 3, yeah, it looked rough, but after he defended, he was decisive. And I think that's kind of what he needs to be in this series. Opening up with like mind drops, but then not committing. I'm just not sure if that's the way to play against somebody like Classic.
Such an extremely similar opening to the last time they played on this map, but Classic's only difference here is just getting the single forge instead of the double forge. It's not quite as greedy on his upgrades, at least just for now. But HeRoMaRinE playing almost punch for punch here than he did last time. Third Nexus even the same spot here for Classic. Gonna go for this Widowmine drop here, but Classic's super ready for it.
Yeah, how is he this ready? That's what I'm wondering. I think HeRoMaRinE won't commit. I mean, seeing 5 Stalkers, this is obviously not a moment where When I say, like, I want them to commit, you don't want to fly over it. Just keeping it there is awesome. Think back of what happened on Triton, right? Game 5 of their first best of 5 of the day. Keeping a medevac between bases is fantastic, because now if Classic wants to kite the army of HeRoMaRinE that's going to march to the other side of the map eventually, he's going to have to make even more Stalkers. And the one moment he's not paying attention, these 2 mines can still do a lot of damage. We saw on Triton, 8 workers went down to one of these mines. That's not going to happen here, but I still like it when they just keep it around.
It's denying a little bit of mining time here. Blink is done, so the Stalkers...
Oh, he's switching targets. Yeah. That's so cute.
Very cute stuff from Gabe, but now with the second Stalker move
and he
back,
gets the kill.
Wow, that was a mistake from Classic for sure.
Yep, maybe something else is happening somewhere.
Just check out the minimap, I don't see anything. Mate.
He's probably like, you freaking try hard. Like, keep switching targets. That's a lot of gateways, by the way. He's going up to 9 then, I assume? Yep.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, this is so similar to the last time they played. That's why Classic was super ready for it, even without scouting, because this is he sees the opening of Big Gabe and is just like, oh, okay, well, the Widowmine drop's coming. I'll just be ready for it. All good.
He's got an insane amount of Stalkers, so these Stalkers are going to be very useful in kiting. Obviously, we'll see if he does that blink in the main base again, because that didn't really work out the last time. The Reaper is somehow still alive. It's going to be annoying.
Yeah, it's tucked its way up to the top of the map here. Waiting for the probes. Classic's, what? You're still here?
Should get one probe.
Well, usually around now is when the Terran wants to try and push with the medevacs coming out, +1.
Where's that observer?
Classic's going to have charge and +1 armor very shortly here, and like we just mentioned, those gateways are finished. So he definitely has the ability to get a pretty scary army on the ground, and Gabe even attacking the same path as before, and Classic is just moving to intercept.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to buy time, right? You just don't want to sit at home, because sentries are really good in buying time, blink stalkers are really good in buying time. He blinks forward, that's a little bit risky, does not get the tank. You want to be careful here. I don't think Classic actually wants to fight.
No, I don't think so, especially now that their tanks are sieged up. And the charge lots are coming forward. Gabe could save some of these Marines. He does with the medevac and pulls back. And blink forward there.
And the tank somehow fired over those force fields. I did not expect that one, Manny.
Well, both players know where each other's armies are, so Gabe's being careful here. He really wants that siege position next to the main base. The charge lots looking to intercept and kill these tanks, or at least cut through that bio and push it away for the tanks. That's so many charge lots.
It's so weird to be fighting here, by the way, because there's no nexus. Like, what are we doing? Why are we here?
Gabe has a way he likes to play this map, man. Oh, Classic setting up for a flank. Charge lots pulling down to the south here to come in from behind.
Yeah, the Widow Mines are going to make this a lot more
difficult.
difficult. Classic is going to go for it.
The tanks are so exposed. The Zealots are going to kill those things instantly. The bio stuck up against a wall here. Protoss all over the place. The Widow Mines connect. The bio is doing okay, but then the charge lots just meet them face to face. And I don't think there's enough rallies from Big Gabe to actually stop this advance here from Classic.
A lot of these Zealots are low HP. Those 2 mines could be fantastic. Classic spots them and decides to disengage immediately. I believe there's a Warp Prism in the main base with a big warp in. I'm sure that we're going to take a look at it real quick. Why is it slow? What did they charge it? They must have charged it something else. Or they didn't charge it all yet.
Well, there it is. The Widow Mines do burrow, but the SCVs are kind of stacked up. It's going to hit those SCVs as well as the Zealots here.
Man, this is some really good play by Classic, who's actually getting into the natural as well.
Yeah, this looks pretty bad for Big Gabe. He's going to pull those SCVs to turn and fight. 10 of them, 11, 12. A dozen have already gone down. The bio turning and fighting. The Immortal's so healthy. The charge loss still in the main on top of the production, tearing him apart from the inside. He is going to clean up these Immortals on the low ground, the Stalkers as well, but he's taking critical damage.
He's taking insane amounts of economic damage. No, don't shoot at the rocks, HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE takes care of the rocks, means he's going to lose a few more SCVs. Eventually, he's going to take care of all of these Zealots, but we have to ask ourselves the question, at what cost? Because he right now has half of the economy. He's just going to tap out. GG has the feeling there's absolutely nothing he can do being that far behind in economy. Classic takes the 1-0 lead.
That was so similar to the last time they played that game that it was actually frightening how similar it was. Classic's just like, oh, you do it again? That's cool. I know your game plan. I'm gonna intercept you a step ahead. And it looked like an even stronger game from Classic than the last Winter's Gate game, honestly.
Yep, the flank on those tanks was awesome. Really good job splitting up a couple of these Zealots. And during all of that, getting the Prism to the other side of the map as well. The fight wasn't even done yet, and he's already whopping in 9 Zealots. And I must say, while he was chasing, I really love when he saw those 2 mines at the ramp. He's like, okay, I can do that, because that's how you can lose 12 supply of Zealots real quick. And then maybe HeRoMaRinE can turn around again and suddenly start fighting the Immortals, because with just Marines, you actually have a pretty good chance against Immortal Sentry Stalker. But Classic saw it, disengaged, did not run into those mines, kept his Zealots alive, and then when he got the warp in the main base, that's when he showed up in the natural again as well.
An incredibly clean first game here from Classic. And we are heading to Acropolis for game number 2. Not usually a map where Terran likes to play Protoss too often, but we'll see what HeRoMaRinE can do here. The game is ready. Let's get into it. bottom right here in the red, currently up in the series, the Korean Protoss. He is
Makers Classic.
in the top left here. In the blue, the German Terran. He is
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
He's got some very passionate fans out there in the crowd today.
I mean, he's quite a popular streamer these days. Not just a professional e-gamer.
His days off are 7 hours long.
Yeah. Streams
Days
6
on.
days a week besides on Sunday. On Sunday, he has an off day where he also streams then 7 hours.
He's even been streaming from Korea.
Yeah, live from the hotel.
Absolute mad lad.
He's loving it as well. He gets really happy when he talks about his stream, which is great to see.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
Now-
As he should be.
Classic has been dropping that pylon, and it's not sure he's going to go for the wall off there, like we've seen multiple Protoss players do in this tournament. Makes it impossible for the Reaper to get into the main base unless you do something very funky with a grenade, which doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Don't know if you saw, but Gabe actually did try to do the grenade trick to go over the wall, and the Reaper just got stuck.
Yeah, but
So
I think he
didn't make
tried to get over the gate, right? I think you have
Yeah,
to do it
it's
over the
between the
pylon.
pylon,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like, he wants, I mean, I know Gabe is big and all, but I don't know if he's big enough to fly over a
And his
gateway.
Reapers are also too big. It's unfortunate.
Now, I'm kind of expecting a Phoenix opening coming out of Classic on this map, because I feel
He
like
actu-
it's very easy to hide it, and then if HeRoMaRinE opens up with a medevac drop, then you can just keep the Phoenixes at home. Terran doesn't know there are Phoenixes out there. You pick up the mines, you kill the medevac, and you're in a fantastic position as a Protoss.
He actually did exactly that last time, and I think we're going to be seeing a Stargate here from Classic. Actually, the warp gate started up. But, you know, the Phoenix play definitely gave Classic a little bit of early game damage. He killed a lot of SCVs. He was very, very annoying, like 5 or maybe even 6 SCVs or something like that. But it was when Gabe came across the map with a +1 attack timing, it just felt like those Phoenixes kind of set Classic back a bit. And as we mentioned, that Stargate, a Twilight Council gets dropped.
Yes, it's going to play it out differently. It could just be the same build as we saw in the previous game. I mean, Zealots and Stalkers are still very, very good. This build has been nerfed a couple of times. It will get nerfed in the past, or in the patch post BlizzCon. As from that point on, Zealots will no longer do 8 damage just by charging at their units. But it's still just very, very good. It's solid as well, right? Because you can sit back with it. You can just kind of, you have a lot of map vision with the observers because you don't really need to spend your gas on too much other stuff. And Blink is obviously super strong defensively.
Probe just chilling down here to the south, and
What if he goes Doctrine? That would be sick.
that would be amazing. There it is.
Oh.
All right, now this is kind of what I expected. Like Classic, when they last played their PvT, he was so standard and just playing regular PvT. This is what I expected a little bit more in Classic in this matchup. He's just been very, very aggressive in PvT lately. I love this from Classic. I actually really, really, really love it. It could be a very, very quick and easy win.
Like, I love it, but after I look at that first game on Winter's Gate where he looked so damn solid just by opening up with Blink Stalkers and then following up with Zealots, going 9 gates, staying low on the gases, I also ask myself the question, is this necessary? Like, it's cool, but is it necessary? Because if it gets scouted, then suddenly it gets a little bit awkward. It's not the end of the world, right? It's only a Dark Shrine. It's not the most expensive building ever. But this is one of these builds that can fall flat on its face. It can also straight up win games, but that's something I would rather see from an underdog, right? And even though HeRoMaRinE won the first series of the day, I don't think I would ever say that Classic is the underdog going into this series.
Oh, absolutely not. HeRoMaRinE beating Classic in the first case was an upset for sure. Third CC here, very, very quick third CC. Classic coming forward with that Prism. And there is just not a lot of detection here, Roddy. In fact, he's only going to have one scan when this thing arrives.
Yeah, he's definitely not thinking about it. He's building a Raven, but that's going to take quite some time. It's
Uh-oh.
so important he
Uh-oh.
doesn't drop another mule. Don't do it, HeRoMaRinE. Don't drop the mule.
Oh, he's got that 50 energy.
Yeah, he's waiting. At least he has one scan to fall. Well, good
All
scan here, and there is a Widow Mine.
He's got that scan in the
that's
main.
bad. That's really bad. Not getting the Dark Templar. If you scan, you need to get the DT. He doesn't have an eBay yet, but that Raven is more than halfway done. But now the SCV kills are going to be racking up real quick.
He's actually going for the Marines here, not killing SCVs at the moment, that DT, but there it goes. It turns and fires on those SCVs. There's no units to actually fight this back. He's going to land that Viking to actually engage these DTs with
That's
the
all he
SCVs
has.
as well. And a couple Marines from the low ground, but yeah, not as far as an army goes, he doesn't have a whole lot to speak of.
No, this is disastrous. That first Dark Templar does finally go down, but 10 SCVs have gone down already. There's another DT running into the natural. More SCVs go down, and this is an absolute disaster for the German Terran.
Great strategy here from Classic, finding a ton of damage 13 SEVs dead. And Big Gabe's just looking to try and just resaturate that natural. Just with 32 workers, though, it just looks very, very dire for him to start off with. And he didn't even get to round out his build completely yet. He just doesn't have an army to do anything on the other side of the map. He's got no medevacs, like no way to harass or punish Classic for this.
No, the only thing he could possibly do is maybe send a Viking to the other side of the map and land it. But yeah, that's not really what your Terran dreams are made of. So I guess there's only one thing he can do.
Terran nightmares are made of this.
Yeah. I mean, the one good thing is that he does have triple orbital, right? So being down 14 SCVs is bad. But with triple orbital, you can say it's still a playable game. But I think the bigger problem is everything you just said. And that is that he can't do anything for the next minute and a half in this game. Until he's got medevacs out, until Stim finishes up probably. Like, what can you possibly be doing here if you're HeRoMaRinE?
Classic can actually, as he goes towards armor here, start getting towards charge.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that too.
Storm.
Templar Archives gets dropped as well, as you mentioned that, yeah. And here we go, Prism coming in now. Gabe's very, very secured against the DTs now. Saves that last DT before that last tank shot.
And that's going to be forced to get a couple of missile turrets as well, because that Raven is not going to be alive forever. That Raven can be everywhere at once. Meanwhile, Classic going up to 3 bases will most likely just rush out Storm, put a couple of High Templars inside of the War Prism. And I think the only thing that HeRoMaRinE can really do is just sit back and build up a big army and hope to eventually take an absolutely fantastic fight. But this is a horrifying position to be in as a Terran player because he has zero map vision, right? He has no idea what's happening on the other side of the map. He can't really be scanning too much because he lost so many SCVs. So the only thing he can really do is doing exactly what he's doing right now, and that is sit back, build up an army, and hope to eventually realize that things are not that bad, and maybe Classic will take a bad engagement.
Classic did get double Forge, I believe, and he's also got Storm on the way here nice and quickly as well, so this is, okay, he's going to prioritize +2 armor here because he does want those charge walls to be as beefy as possible against those +1 attack fire units.
But that's kind of funny because he does have double Forge like you said, so it's like, I'm going to go armor. No, never mind. Yes, armor. Okay, I have 2 Forges.
Okay, no less dos?
Yeah.
Let's get both.
He's like, I actually don't have to choose at all. He's like, well, it's beautiful being Protoss. I mean, HeRoMaRinE right now, economically, he's in a pretty damn decent spot. Like, he's only down 6 workers, but with the triple orbital, that means he's actually ahead. The bigger problem is in the army and also in the quality of the army, right? Storm is going to be done. There is a War Prism as well, which is going to make it very doable for Classic to drop a couple of fantastic Storms. And HeRoMaRinE doesn't have goals, and this doesn't really have anything to keep this War Prism at bay. I mean, there is a Viking, right? One Viking, and he's got the Raven, so maybe an interference matrix could be awesome.
Scans to see the third Nexus, sees the saturation, but most importantly, that Marine saw the charge lots and he's starting up those bunkers, which I like a lot. And as soon as he saw those charge lots, he also started, I mean, he was already going to make Widow Mines in this game, but Widow Mines with these bunkers is going to be saving grace because Classic is going to be hitting very hard very soon.
Wait, isn't there a Raven, by the way?
There is.
I mean, doesn't one War Prism look very different than the other?
Yeah, one of these things is not like the other.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, that Storm. So much damage on the bio, and that third base also going down. Oh man, it looks good on paper, but Classic does so much damage. He is going to get pushed back by the looks of things. You know, it's a little bit close here on the front line, but the third base going down is devastating, and this SCV damage also really devastating, and HeRoMaRinE is going to tap out. GG. Classic. 2-0 to start things off within the series again. But will history repeat itself, Rotterdam?
I mean, one reverse sweep is incredibly impressive, but I don't know if you can ever expect 2 reverse sweeps against this man.
I'd like to see the odds.
Classic is playing really clean so far. I mean, he's switching up his builds as well. He's making it difficult for HeRoMaRinE to figure out what's happening. And HeRoMaRinE getting a little bit unfortunate, only having a single scan available for those Dark Templars. And then also, if you drop the first scan, but you don't get the first DT, I mean, at that point, you know it's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah. That was one of those games that can put you on live tilt. Hopefully, HeRoMaRinE can shake that off and just clean his brain palette there for game number 3. So he needs to just stick to the game plan and do what he's comfortable with. And he does love his standard macro play. Hopefully, he can get that done here on World of Sleepers, which is going to be our next map. Hopefully, not the last one. Classic with some very quick and very clean wins here, back to back. What do you think we'll see here for World of Sleepers, Roddy? It's a very, very large map.
It is a large map.
Very, very large. Yeah. Oh, a lot of these are gonna have so large. This one's so big that Gabe's like, you know, it's quite comfortable.
I think Gabe will fit in it. I know the game is ready. Let's go ahead and fire up Game 3 between Classic and HeRoMaRinE.
At the bottom left here on match point. You know him, you love him. In the red, he is
Makers Classic.
Some say the sun is bigger, some say the new AMP is bigger, but it's this guy. He's the biggest of them all. He is.
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
It would be quite the Cinderella story if, out of all people, it's suddenly Classic who wins BlizzCon. Wouldn't that be something?
It'd be incredible.
When we weren't sure for weeks if he was actually going to be able to make it, if he was able to participate in this tournament. Just like, what was it, 8 or 9 days ago that news finally came out. It's like, don't worry, Classic can play. And Classic can make the journey to America. It's his final chance for now.
Yeah, gracious of the Korean government to let him have one more offline tournament. And it's the big one as well, so.
Wouldn't be his first one. He's made it to the global finals a couple of times already.
Certainly has. Just a very normal probe scout here from Classic to make sure that HeRoMaRinE is playing normal, keeping him honest. No barracks is on the other side of the map, please.
Yeah, going Reaper into Marine, everything is very standard here. I really like this build a lot more from Terran players. For a while they always used to go Reaper Reactor, but then like, you know, the Reaper would be halfway across the map, then the probe would show up again, and then either you're forced to pull like two SCVs down the low ground. Actually, he went straight Marine. Okay, this was never mind. Slightly different then, right?
Yeah,
no Reaper this game.
Well, I mean, I've actually seen some like reactor first builds here in this matchup a little bit from some of the Korean Terrans, but just for safety, gonna go Marine here and just gonna give up a bit of scouting information. I mean, yeah, the SCV kind of just saw everything anyway. He knows he's not getting proxy gated, which I think is just the main thing he wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and obviously, you need to get something to the other side of the map as well, because you don't want to send your Marine. It takes a little while before a Marine makes it to the other side of the map. We'll probably run into an Adept then as well, and we'll just get picked off. Because they're obviously nowhere near as fast. Is this like a Hellion opener?
Yeah, as I say, there are as far as fast units go, Hellion openers, which are definitely quite, quite powerful in the meta at the moment. But this isn't one of those maps with a tiny natural wall in. You can actually be very, very annoying in Hellions. There's also some Hellion ferry strats, of course. Like even though the starport's on his side of the map, you can still load up the Hellions to do a medevac and get into the main base and potentially get probes.
But since he's going 2-Rex, he's definitely not proxying a starport by any means. So that's not going to be it. We'll see if it's just 2 Hellions or 4 Hellions. Sometimes they just open up with 2 Hellions, run them into the natural, you get a scout off, and that's indeed what's going to happen here. I don't hate this, especially because as a Protoss you don't often expect this. The Adept may spot the Hellions in the middle of the map, but there's still a chance that these Hellions can get something done. It's not a big investment, but just getting a couple of probes would already be massive here for HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, certainly would be. He's going to try and get any damage he can here, but the wall off there from Classic. Also Sentry just in case, so the Hellions get deflected.
Yeah, but at this point, obviously, Classic does not know, right? Is it just 2 Hellions, or is it going to be 3 and 4 Hellions? Is there a medevac out there as well? Like, I'd be a little bit worried at this point, if I was the Protoss player, about a potential proxy starport and him dropping 4 Hellions inside of my main base.
Yeah, apart from the Hellions here, a pretty similar round out of production here for HeRoMaRinE as on Winter's Gate. The 2 barracks, starport, Widow Mines, all sorted out here. So everything's looking relatively safe for Gabe back at home. I'd love to see his mid-game plan here. Obviously, it's going to be a Widowmine drop of some variety. He just really loves Widowmine drop into the regular +1 pushes, but if you're too predictable, someone like Classic is going to just snap your neck.
Yep, and he's going to get better and better against it as well, right?
Yeah.
Because as a Protoss, you often try to figure out what kind of an opening it is, exactly where the medevac is, where does it come from, how many units will he have behind this, is it 3 racks, 5 racks, fast 3cc or not? And eventually, like if you compare Winter's Gate to the other game they had, I forgot which one it was exactly. Oh, Triton, game 5. Classic had 60 probes that game, and I was like, 60 is a lot. I'm not sure if that's going to work out. And it didn't work out. He lost. If you compare it to Winter's Gate, he stopped at 56. And I was like, yeah, I like that a little bit better. I think that's a slightly better number. And it all seems so minor, right? Like, oh, 4 workers. Does that really make the difference or not? Sometimes it does. Those 4 extra workers, like, it's going to take a while before they pay for themselves. And that will just allow you to have a couple of extra units a bit quicker. And they can make the difference in like either completely crushing a push or actually being forced to disengage because you're losing the engagement.
Tiny bit of supply block here for HeRoMaRinE as the depots get closer and closer to done. We'll see how this mine drop goes. Classic's army is actually not in position to shoot this down by the looks of things in the minimap. He's moving some units into intercept now. It's just the one stalker at the moment.
Yeah, this is where you want to go for it, I think, if you're HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, boost on in there.
Yep, you gotta really commit here. You can't be second guessing yourself. Of course, it's always
Ooh,
scary,
Classic.
but here comes that medevac. You can see all of the units are out of position. This is often a tell, by the way. When you know the Protoss out of position is when they pull all the probes immediately.
Oh, he's on the chase there with those Widow Mines. He's going to try and get one of those Stalkers. Blink is done. It's control there from Classic. Easy baits on those Widow Mines. So a little bit of denied mining time, but no actual damage.
Yep.
And HeRoMaRinE did keep the medevac alive. It's going to fly back home.
Exactly. I would actually sign for this as a standard player, which I know sounds really weird, right? Because often you see mine drops and they kill 8 probes. You're like, wow, that's fantastic. Like, this was obviously not the jackpot, but it really wasn't that bad. That's a lot of lost mining time, and more importantly, he gets the expensive unit, the medevac, out of there. So I really don't think that was as bad as it may have looked.
30C being placed right next to the natural here for HeRoMaRinE as he tries to round out that economy. And once again, Classic just straight into the charge once Blink is done, getting his armor upgrades up for that big gateway explosion. He's been getting a lot of gateways back at home to get the mid-game army well and truly sorted. And the push from HeRoMaRinE. Gearing up for it. There he goes.
It's going to be a powerful army. We'll be
Sure.
rallying Widow Mines towards this. Already has 2 mines. Those 2 mines are going to be very, very important, of course. That Observer sees everything. Classic knows what he's going up against, but just seeing it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to deal with it as well. He's at 58 probes this game, so it's the middle of the previous games we've had. But I like how he's moving out again. He's going to try to shave off a couple of units, and also he forces these tanks to siege up very far away. These random Hellions are showing up, and they're going to try to get a couple of kills.
Well, they get 3 there, and it's greater than 0, but it was a nice little bit of control there from Classic to mitigate that damage, keeping them away from the cluster of probes there. It was a big, big number that got pulled back, but I like this from HeRoMaRinE, so to break off a medevac and try and go for a drop and be on the receiving end of an attack here from Classic. He's going to have high ground, lots of Widow Mines.
Needs to siege, though, and start burrowing these mines.
Yeah.
Like, Terran armies do so much better if everything is set up.
If you're ready. If
Yes.
you see it coming, you look amazing with this defensive kind of army.
Yeah. And for mines, the exact same thing goes as well. Stalkers blink forward. They snipe the first one. Oh, both mines go down. That's a bit scary. That means that these Zealots have a lot more potential. Where did that medevac go? Is it still out on the map, or is he bringing it back?
Can't quite see.
I'm so confused.
Can't quite see. There it is. Okay.
So this drop can do a lot, because the main is super exposed. Oh, and he gets the prism. That's a massive pickoff for HeRoMaRinE. Classic really wants to go for it. If he commits it, but the tanks are going to unsiege.
HeRoMaRinE moving those tanks back closer to the 3rd base here. Classic gets the Widow Mines and pulls back.
Does he need
The
to?
medevac of HeRoMaRinE finally going to the main, and there's that force field, grabbing a bunch of the bio there for free.
I'm not sure why HeRoMaRinE is moving out there. I mean, he's going to drop the main base, so he's always going to be good. Forces the recall immediately. It's just a couple Zealots, but a couple Zealots is going to be good enough for now. I have no idea why he stimmed up the ramp, by the way. That was crazy.
Well, that blink was quite bold from Classic. Loses a Stalker there. Not really picking up much.
Well,
He might have got a Marauder, I think.
Feeling very, very confident. Classic is going to get a 2nd Prism there, as well as he fires up Storm. And he's getting +2 armor. Single Forge this game, not a double Forge game. It's a single Forge, no attack yet. Okay, now he has the 2nd Forge, so he starts. Whoa, is +2 armor almost done already?
Almost.
Jeez, that's so fast. 9
Yeah,
minutes
Classic
into the
just
game.
loves, as soon as the charge starts, he starts +1 armor. Like, he just gets armor as fast as possible.
Man, +2 finishing up. 9 minutes into the game.
Oh, thought he was going to go for that Observer there. It's a stim there from HeRoMaRinE. Classic loading up a Prism to the left-hand side.
He can do storm drops from the high ground, by the way. I wouldn't go for the main.
Oh.
I would just drop them above the 3rd base of HeRoMaRinE, and he can just storm the mineral line.
Classic might be in trouble here with this Prism.
Yep.
HeRoMaRine's very, very ready for this.
That's some expensive cargo as well, but the Zealots will get out of the... Can he get the final hit on the 2nd Prism? Yes, he does.
2 Prisms dead in this game so far. Good stuff from HeRoMaRinE. But of course, the bulk of the forces here from Classic are on the way. HeRoMaRinE not out of the woods just yet. Protoss has got that splash damage almost done. Storm very, very close to finished.
I have the feeling that Classic wants to fight just a little bit, you know, to test the waters. He's like, I've got a lot of money. He's going double Robo Bay behind this, but it would be nice to at least trade out some of these gateway units, potentially for a lot of SCVs. HeRoMaRinE is going to try to queue up one more drop. He's going to try to catch up in upgrades as well. Probably Colossus here, right? Yeah, with the double Forge, I think that makes sense.
Definitely. It's got that Prism. 3rd Prism here coming out for Classic to load up those High Templar for the Storm drops. And here we go. Classic comes forward there with lots of charge slots. The Storms, he's trying to go for it.
Well, the EMP connected on the first High Templar. That was really big. There are a couple of mines in the mix as well.
Lots of fire
so
left over.
far, so good for HeRoMaRinE, but more Zealots coming in. And there are still more High Templars left in his War Prism.
And the High Templar go for a big storm on the pulled SCVs. Actually hit only the Bio there. SCV starting to go down a little bit now. The Ghost definitely helping out. Marauders from the high ground. EMPs on the Immortal and on the Sentries here. HeRoMaRinE with the SCV pull and the Bio. Just trying to hold on.
Only losing 11 SCVs so far. That's really not that many. Wants to get the Prism. I think he misfired there a little bit. Still doesn't get the Prism.
He had primarily Marauders in that army, so he actually didn't have a whole lot shot up. The Wintermine finishes off the Prism in the end. 23 SCVs have gone down. HeRoMaRinE's reinforcements look like it might be enough to push back these charge slots. Did take a big economic hit.
Yeah,
47 against 65 probes now.
It looked all right, but then suddenly it wasn't. Trying to go for that Prism, and with mostly Marauders, they all got captured. I thought there was a drop going somewhere, but that
He
drop...
did load up a medevac.
Yeah, but didn't really do anything, or at least Classic took care of it with his defensive units. And I think in the end this was now all right for Classic, right? Because instead of getting 11 SCVs, he got over 20, and he's got double Robo base. So yes, there is already Storm. Now we're gonna have multiple Colossus on the battlefield as well. You gotta be happy with it as a Protoss.
Yeah, he's all set here to have a very, very strong follow-up. HeRoMaRinE's getting that second starport. He wants to get plenty of air units. This time he's going to go for Liberators here to try and go for a little bit more Liberators than he, he might not be thinking about the Colossi right now. He's more concerned about the Gateway forces, which is fair enough. As by now, if you knew about this Colossi, he does really love having the Vikings primarily instead of Liberators to deal with this kind of army.
Scan sees that army, knows that he's going to have to go up against multiple Colossus, sees a lot of High Templars as well.
Yeah.
So very, very important to keep a couple of goals. I think HeRoMaRinE did great there against the first High Templar. He was able to EMP it immediately. But I love how long Classic kept High Templar number 3 and 4 inside of that Prism. Because you don't really expect the battle to be going on for 10-15 seconds. And then suddenly Protoss shows up with 2 more High Templars instead of a Prism, right? Normally you just unload it and storm everything quite quickly. So I thought it was very, very smart by our Protoss.
Little charge lot run through the third, or rather the fourth here to the north side. HeRoMaRinE does have a good number of bases here and definitely can make a very, very strong army in a few minutes, but at the moment, he's going to have to chill. He's got +3 attack on the way, but Classic's got this Ghost. Go for the EMPs here on the High Templar. Big EMPs from Gabe. Denying the storm, at least for now, but there is still splash damage, and there's that Prism with the extra storms within. The Prism goes down, the High Templar cargo within. Still so much splash damage from Classic, though. HeRoMaRinE taking a big damage to his army, and he just has to tap out. And just like that, Classic just clean sweeps HeRoMaRinE in the rematch. It's Maru time all over again.
Classic 3-0 HeRoMaRinE there in a very convincing way in the end. I think he played incredibly well. That final fight, I was a little bit worried because he did eat massive EMPs to the face. I was like, can he take care of the Vikings? And this time I think his Stalker positioning was a lot better. You saw the Stalkers go to the right side of that battle, and they were able to snipe the Vikings quite quickly. That means the Colossus survive, and eventually they would have taken care of all the